Welcome to episode 4 of Philosophy is Philosophy Through a Creative Perspective. Philosophy is an aspiration towards knowledge. The original meaning of the word philosophy comes from the Greek root words philo and sophos. Philo meaning love and sophos meaning wisdom. Thus, philosophy is essentially the love of wisdom. In this definition, philosophy appears to be the pursuit of wisdom, and wisdom is presented as a desire more than a state of being. Wisdom is something you aspire towards, and philosophy, well, it's a movement towards knowledge, an aspiration towards knowledge. Knowledge can be seen as an awareness of what exists. In episode 3, I expressed that to me, it seems all we can do is aspire to know the truth, because certainty is near to impossible to possess. Philosophy is the movement towards that unreachable truth. Step by step, we are trying to understand our world. Philosophers throughout time have proposed their definitions of knowledge and have tried to define the relationship between truth and belief. When referring to knowledge broadly in philosophy, what is being referred to is commonly known as propositional knowledge, or the knowledge that something is the case. For example, to say, I know that dogs have legs is a statement or proposition that we claim to know and can justify and prove. This is propositional knowledge. The ancient Greek philosopher Plato famously pointed out the need for a distinction between knowledge and true belief. And so a definition of knowledge emerged in philosophy that states that knowledge is a justified true belief. Truth is considered an accurate account of what exists in the world, while belief is considered a mental state in which an individual accepts a premise or proposition to be true without the involvement of the knowledge needed to guarantee that it is true. Thus, my perspective is that belief and truth are connected in such a way that belief, a personal, often unjustified version of reality, becomes truth only when justification takes place. Justification is then evidently what connects a subjective belief with an objective truth, so that only when a belief can be justified can it be considered true. This seems like a reliable definition of truth and knowledge. You justify your beliefs and that of others, and you gain knowledge on the world. But then there's a few issues with this concept. One issue is that in the same way we can't trust our senses, we can't trust the justifications we use to determine what is true. When we use internal justification, such as reasoning and logic, our minds and intelligence could fail us. Then, if we use external justification, like when we use empirical evidence, such as our experiences, our perceptions, and our senses to justify beliefs, we can't trust that we understand the essence of existence and reality in its truest form as it exists outside of ourselves. One famous thought experiment that has transcended philosophy and into pop culture and media is the idea of the existence of a tree that has fallen in a forest, but no one sees it fall. In a musical I know and love, a character named Evan Hansen sings about this concept.
When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? Did I even make a sound? Did I even make a sound? It's like I never made a sound. Did I ever make a sound?
A philosopher named George Berkeley once said, "To be is to be perceived." Thus, would the tree exist if no one took notice of it? Yes, it exists, but it is not a part of our knowledge of the world, and thus it doesn't exist to those who have yet to perceive it. I am convinced that the creators of The Matrix, the Wachowski siblings, are expert philosophers, because another one of their films, Cloud Atlas, has a number of philosophical themes and has a character named Sunmi 451 directly address Berkeley's saying, and she says, if to be is to be perceived, then we only exist through the eyes of others, which makes us think about just how limited our perceptions of the world and ourselves are if it is limited to what we are told and what we grow up knowing. I would not know how to comprehend aspects of my being without people and a society informing me that I am a female and that I am young, that I am tall and that my name is so and so. Without these perceptions of others, would I have the same perception of the world I do today? Would I gain knowledge about myself and my world differently? To me, perspective and perception influence truth. Truth influences knowledge. If we are to truly aspire towards knowledge, we must understand first that knowledge, if considered an awareness of the world, is already limited in how it can be expressed in language, and is already straightaway influenced by others' beliefs and perspectives on reality. With such various different personalities, levels of intelligence, and perspectives that people bring to the table, is it even possible for us to discover an unbiased, uninfluenced, objective version of the world?